Hello everyone and welcome to the F1 Corner. I am today, first day of spring at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal to play the F1 2021 prediction game where I'm gonna make 20 predictions regarding the upcoming Formula One season and take you with me for a walk around this iconic track in Montreal. So, as I get ready on the start-finish line to start with this journey, I want to remind you to smash the like button and to subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss anything regarding the Formula One world. So, here I am on the start-finish line, ready to go on, and here we go. This is a start. We are gonna start with my very first prediction of the year and get out of the way of the cyclists and other cars passing on this track. First prediction of the year: Mercedes will not win the Constructors' Championship. Now this is a pretty long shot because Mercedes have been dominant for the last 7 years, but when we saw what happened during winter testing, the second team with the fewest lap of all, engine troubles for gearbox actually troubles for Valtteri Bottas, Hamilton not happy with the pedals on Friday, the car being twitchy and tough to control. We have to wonder, does Mercedes have what it takes to win this year? And Red Bull also look pretty strong, we've got to admit that. So I'm going with this bold prediction that Mercedes will not win the Constructors' Championship this year. Prediction number 2. At least 2 drivers will not be coming back in 2022. We saw quite a few of them not coming back this year with Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen, among others. But I think this season will be the same. 2 drivers will not be coming back at least. If I had to take a guess who they are, I think that would be potentially Antonio Giovinazzi, depending on his performance on with Alfa Romeo, and tough one, maybe Esteban Ocon, depending on how he does with Fernando Alonso as a teammate. It's going to be a tough one, but Ocon did not really impress last year, even though he got a podium in Sakir. So yeah, I think it's a strong possibility. We're gonna go on right away with prediction number 3 as I'm making my way into the second corner of this track. And yes, this video is edited. I did not walk that fast from the start finish line all the way through here. And by the way, before going to prediction number 3, this is the exit of the pit lane right behind me, like this. So yeah, exit to the pit lane, so I'm taking the long way around that corner to get out of the way of the cyclists and other cars once again. So Bottas will outscore Lewis Hamilton. Yes, I think this will be Valtteri's year, finally. It's gonna be a tough one. Lewis Hamilton at the top of his game, but Bottas has been struggling for a while to beat Hamilton, and more gaining experience and maturity to surprise us. I think this year could be the one, and it's probably also a make or break situation for Bottas at Mercedes. Since both drivers got a 1-year deal, it means that the team can throw out anyone they want at the end of the season if they wish to. And you know, I think George Russell is a potential candidate for Mercedes. So yeah, both drivers need to impress, and especially Valtteri. Otherwise, I believe his seat could be in jeopardy. Number 4. Haas will finish last of the Constructors' Championship. As I am slowly but surely making my way to the very first chicane of the track. Yes, Haas, well, in its current situation, I think it would not be super surprising. A car that did not evolve since last year, the team putting no money on it except for the mandatory changes. 2 rookie drivers in Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin this is a recipe to clearly not finish high in the standing, but we already know that Haas is putting all their eggs in the 2022 basket. So I think we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, in this case, I truly believe that Haas is in the position to finish last in the championship. Number 5. Carlos Sainz will win in Montreal. So yeah, let's be clear, I do not expect Ferrari to be a dominant threat this year, but last year they were able to pull off a few surprising moves as I arrive in this very first chicane of the track. And yeah, few surprising moves last year with Leclerc getting some podium, Vettel at the last race of the season too. So it is a prediction I like to make when a winless driver goes into a big team, that they will win here in Montreal, because so many Formula One drivers got their first win here in Canada. We can think here about Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, Robert Kubica, and Jean Alesi with Ferrari, only to name a few. So Carlos Sainz with a bit of luck, yes, I want to see him get his first victory here in Montreal. Let's go with number 6 as I am exiting this chicane. Perez will outqualify his teammate Max Verstappen in at least 1/3 of the races. I do have faith in Sergio that he will give a hard time to Max Verstappen this season. And 1/3 of the race on a 23 race calendar, I will be nice here. I will say only 14 races are necessary, as 7 races are necessary, as 8 would be a little bit over a third. Perez said himself that he will need a few races just to get really accustomed to the car, the procedures and everything. With only a day and a half of testing, of course it was not a lot. So yes, toward the end of the season, I'm pretty sure Sergio will be able to compete with Max and push him in the back, so that both can actually improve themselves over the upcoming years. Number 7, Lewis Hamilton does not win the championship this season. So yeah, okay, I admit it, I kind of seem like I'm repeating myself here with prediction 1 and 3. Of course, if Mercedes does not win, if Bottas outscore Hamilton, he will not win the championship. But I think here it's still something a bit different, as it opens the door to any drivers, and just means that I have faith in a challenging season. Not that I do not wish for Hamilton to have bad luck and not win, but I want to at least see some challenge coming from other teams, from other drivers, at least until the very end of the season. So yeah, Hamilton would not win the championship this year. One driver will get a race ban as I arrive in the second chicane of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I predict that there will be a driver that will be so bad this season, cause so much concern to everyone's safety, that he will get a race ban by the end of the season. So that means losing all 12 super license points. We did not see that since the beginning of the 2010s with Romain Grosjean, and I really hope that this one does not come true, because it will mean that someone probably does not deserve to be in Formula One either, and putting everyone's safety at risk is not really cool. But let's take that gamble. One driver gets a race ban. Number 9, Aston Martin, no better than 6th in the championship. So this is a prediction based on what we saw during winter testing and what we saw from both drivers over the last few seasons. So winter testing, Aston Martin getting trouble quite a few times, the team with the fewest lap of them all. And both drivers, I will have to move on this side because there's a traffic jam in front of me. So yeah, both drivers, Sebastian Vettel, Lance Stroll, clearly did not perform to really high levels, or at least astounding levels, over the last few seasons. Vettel outscored by Charles Leclerc over the last 2 seasons and struggling to just keep his composure in the car. Lance Stroll, it's going to be his 5th season in Formula 1 and has yet to prove that he's not only in the car because his dad owns the team, which is going to be a challenge against 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. But again, if the German performs like he did in the last 2-3 seasons, I think Stroll does have a chance to beat Sebastian. But yeah, if they both are awful, it clearly won't be great for the team, and I will say 6th in the championship, no better for Aston Martin. We move on to prediction number 10. Fernando Alonso will get a podium. Yes, you heard me right. I believe this Alpine Renault team, if they continue on their run from last season, is giving Fernando Alonso, who's coming back to Formula 1, a very good chance of making it on the podium. Daniel Ricciardo got 2 last year. Esteban Ocon got 1. That car was really performing well from Silverstone onward last year, and really I think all the chances are there for Fernando to do well. And I think it is crucial also because obviously Fernando is back to win, and if that car is far off the back, we can bet that we will hear once again a few of his spicy comments, let's call them that way, like we heard last year, or not, in 2018 with McLaren. 11. 2 races at least will get a red flag. This is one that I got right last season and that I kind of hope and not to get right again this year. So last year, of course, the Bahrain Grand Prix and Monza were both red flag, 2 crazy races for different reasons. And the reason I hope it will happen is because it will mix up the field and give us something interesting to talk about. But I also hope it doesn't happen because it usually means we get some pretty big crash, except if it's the rain. But still, why not? 2 races red flag once again this year. And we move right away with number 12 as I am exiting the 3rd chicane and slowly heading toward the famous hairpin. More than half of the grid will get on the podium this season, and this is something that is doable. Over 10 drivers on the podium. Last year we were really rewarded with 13 out of the 20 drivers getting on the podium. So this year I think it is once again very possible, with all the talent that we have, with all the teams in the midfield that will be fighting and that can really cause a surprise here and there once in a while. You know, we saw the 2 Renault, the Racing Points, the McLaren on the podium last year. So it is very possible that it will happen again this season. So 11 or more driver on the podium. Number 13. Williams will score at least 5 points this season. Yes, I have faith in Williams, in the 2 drivers, in the team that has now some money to invest in itself. 5 points, that would be more than Alfa Romeo last season. That would be 5 more than Williams last season, who ended up with 0 for the first time in their history. So I think they are on the right track, and that would be oh so positive, rewarding, and nice for the teams under new ownership to finally get some points. So 5 points for Williams this season. Number 14. There will be at least one driver with 0 point this season. So as I start turning into the famous hairpin as we speak, yes, I do predict at least one driver will get 0 point this season, as was the case last year with George Russell and Nicholas Latifi at Williams. If I had to take any guess, I would go probably for the Haas driver, knowing how their car is this year. But it could also happen to Williams, you never know. And there's still a lot of water on this track. It's only the beginning of spring. Yeah, so yeah, one driver at least with 0 point. My guess, Mazepin or Mick Schumacher, if I have to take a guess, which is not part of this prediction. While I'm still in the hairpin, that is, as you can see, still pretty much a lake at this point, not suited for racing, that's for sure. Let's go with number 15. One crazy race with less than 10 drivers crossing the finish line. This is something I predicted last year that did not work out. I want to predict it again this year. I want to see such a crazy race happen, even if I don't wish for any specific driver or any driver at all to retire from a race. But this is something I would like to see, a race with less than 10 driver finishing, which means that the guy getting the last points in 10th place would officially be out of the race, but still qualified depending on his finishing position. Number 16. One race with less than 75% of the laps completed. As I make my way into the long straight leading back to the start-finish line, I want to predict one race with less than 75% laps completed, because we have not seen that in many years, and what that means is that this race would in all likelihood also be pretty crazy, and if not all, if there's less than 75% completed, it means that only half the points are awarded. So if we get that, that will also be funny, because we would see in the classification drivers and maybe even teams with some half points added to their total. Let's go now to number 17. There will be a completely unexpected podium with 3 drivers. And here I really mean something like we saw in Monza or in Sakir with Perez, Ocon and Stroll, and Gasly, Sainz and Stroll in Italy. So there will be at least one of those again this year. At least 2 drivers changing team for 2022. As we get closer to the start-finish line, prediction number 18. Yes, at least 2 drivers by the end of the season will announce that they will change team and head elsewhere for 2022. If I had to guess some of them, I think Pierre Gasly is a good candidate to maybe go to Alpine if he can get good results. This is a rumor that has been going on a little bit since last year. Anyone else maybe? If he stays in Formula 1, Giovinazzi could potentially go to another team, but I honestly see more someone like George Russell, who demonstrated that he can have stunning results in other car, and demonstrating he is a good driver. He will get potentially another drive for 2022. Number 19, let's continue. While I just negotiated the final chicane, Alfa Romeo will be a decent midfield team. So this is something that obviously is open to interpretation, as decent midfield team is pretty vague. But by that, I mostly means that they will be regularly in the points, even if only 9th or 10th, but they will be above, clearly above that C group, which should at least have Williams and Haas this year. Only one prediction left, guys, as we are making our way to the finish line. Number 20. There will be no drivers with engine penalty this season. This is something that I believe has never happened since engine penalties have been a thing. It would be pretty cool to see it happen this year, as every engines are getting more and more reliable. Last year, only a few unlucky drivers had to do with an engine penalty, but it would be nice to see this year every starting grid be completely honest and no penalty. And here I am, everyone. I just crossed the start finish line. So this was a quick but sure fairly complete lap of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, doing my 2020 Formula 1 prediction. I really hope we're gonna have a race here this year. I thank you, all of you, for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything. And I will see you again pretty soon with the first race of the season coming up next week. Thank you for watching, guys, and take care.